the 2024 New Year, New You Challenge video. And this one is going to be a fun one that we can all participate on. I will join with you guys. I will set my own goal and join in. And this is something that I really am excited to drop for you guys. It's something that I don't want your money for. That's why it's here for free. And it's something that's going to benefit a lot of you if you stick with it, if you listen to what's in this video, okay, guys? And I mean it. Grab a notebook if you need to, especially for the last part that I'm going to show you. I made bullet points. I never do this, guys. This is how serious I am about this. And normally I don't structure anything I do. I just speak from the top of my heart because, you know, I have so much to give you guys. It's like I can talk law all day. And I want you guys to understand for the next 30 days when this video is finished, when you finish watching it, I want you to live by what's in this video, and I want you to live by the law. And at the very end of this video, and the last point is going to be a quote from scripture that used to help me big time when I was newer. It helped ground me and helped give me a perspective to look at the law, to look at life. And when I looked at life through this perspective, through this quote that I'm going to share with you guys near the end of the video as the last point, you guys are going to realize, okay, like I am more powerful than I think I was, right? And all of you that are, you know, tired of your old results, tired of your crappy 2023, if it was crappy, you know, you didn't get the movement you wanted, things got worse, whatever it is, trust me, stick to this 30-day challenge. Just enjoy yourself. And something important that I want to get into before I dive into the video is I want you guys to, in a sense, enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the process. Don't be so hyper-focused on the end where you can't enjoy who you are presently because of it. I want you to just enjoy the journey knowing that it's all going to change if you are being disciplined. Because if you're being disciplined, then the world has no choice but to change. And that's something that Neville has talked about as well, right? So that being said, all I ask from you guys is to hit that like button if you gain anything of value from this video. So the same way that it helped you, it'll help other people who are suffering and would benefit from the help in these videos. Okay, guys, that's all I ask from you guys. And that being said, let's just dive into it. For those of you that are new, I'm Michael from embodiedestate.com. And for those of you that aren't new, welcome back. I love you all very much. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas, a Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys had a Happy New Year's with your family, friends, loved ones. And this video is the one that I said I was going to drop for you guys, and I always deliver, so let's just jump into it because this is going to be something that's really passionate for me to kind of dive into, and I want you guys all to succeed, right? You know, I don't want you to think that you have to, you know, work your butt off, and if you don't go to bed every night exhausted that you're not doing enough. You guys are going to realize it's easier than it actually is. So the first point I have is unrelenting discipline, and this goes into mental diet, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. I want you to be ruthless for the next 30 days. Once this video is done, for the next 30 days, I want you to be ruthless in your pursuit of happiness, in your mental diet, right? And because think about it, when you mental diet properly, you are going to get the results afterwards, right? I'm not saying instantly, not in like 1 second, but it's going to follow eventually, right? And when it follows and you reflect the results you want, guess what happens? You start enjoying life more and more than you already were, right? It's not to say that you can't enjoy life until you get your results, but I know you're going to be extremely happy when you finally get them, right? So what I mean by being, you know, disciplined in your mental diet, it's to understand, okay, every time, as Neville would say, my desire falls upon me, right? Or the mood strikes you, whatever it may be. You have to realize, hey, right now I'm at a crossroads. This is that famous crossroads that Michael talks about in all his videos, right? It's that famous point that, especially if you work with me, you know I get into massive detail on this point because it's so vital, because you return to the crossroads so often and you guys don't even realize it. And when you're at this crossroads, you have a choice to make. You have a choice to make, okay, I'm either going to look at my 3D and my thoughts and all this stuff, and I'm going to choose one way or the other. Your job is to guide your mind. This is what mental diet is. You're going to take your mind when you recognize that you want something that you don't physically have in your 3D experience. You're going to take it and you're going to guide your mind. You're going to hold this little hand and you're going to take it to where you would prefer. So what that looks like is, if you're, for example, some of my recent clients, their SP hasn't responded to them, right? They're texting them, but no response. So guess what? You see the lack of response right there. That's a crossroads where you start recognizing you don't like that. That is a crossroad. And you get to decide, okay, right here, I recognize I don't have the thing I want, which implies I am not being the one who has it. Cool, that's okay. I recognize it. So what do we do from here? We go straight to where we would prefer. What would we prefer instead? We would prefer to have gotten that text message, right? So remember, creation is finished and everything that you could possibly want is already finished. It's created. Your higher self has manifested it, right? It's already existing. It's just waiting for you to catch up. So what would that look like? What would that feel like? What would be in that reality where you actually got that attention you wanted from your SP? How would it actually feel? Like, contemplate that in your head. What would that world look like, right? How would it actually feel to be the person, the version of you who in that moment has actually got it instead? So it's kind of like you're doing on the spot revision, if that makes sense, right? And when you're doing that, in that moment, you made the right decision, right? You became someone else because why? You contemplated in imagination being that person and you accepted it, right? As Seth would say, you playfully pretend. And to go even deeper into that, think about it. It's like, when I was a kid, Game Boy Color was like, came out and it was like, at the time, it was like this big thing. Everybody wanted one and got one, right? And I remember my brother and I were so excited and our parents were like, okay, we'll get it for you in like a week or two or whatever. And for that time, we were waiting until we got to go to the store and buy one. Guess what we did as kids when we thought about the Game Boy Colors, right? We thought to ourselves, oh my God, which Pokemon are you going to get? Pokemon, blue, Pokemon red, blah, blah, blah. And we started thinking, what color, Game Boy Color are we going to get? And every time we thought about it, even if we didn't communicate it to each other, we were going to the end, right? We were enjoying it. We were experiencing having it, even though physically we didn't have the Game Boy Colors, but we knew it was going to happen. We trusted it, right? Because we trusted our parents. And because we trusted that it was going to happen, we were going to the end because we had that guarantee. Manifesting, we don't have that guarantee from our 3D because no one's telling us, hey, you're going to get it guaranteed if you're disciplined. But guess what? That guarantee is there. You just never heard it. And your job is to realize the guarantee is built into the desire. Because think about it. If you can only desire what is already promised to you, what is already guaranteed to you, what is already created, then guess what? It's a guarantee if you focus on mental diet, if you return to the version of you who has your desires. So what that means is, does it make sense that when you are now thinking of your SP, he didn't give me the attention or she didn't give me the attention I wanted, to then sit there and after you recognize it, to then be like, oh, I'm going to dwell on this now. No. What does make sense? Hey, wait a minute, I'm at that crossroads. I just recognize I don't like what I'm seeing. I would prefer something else. So what does that look like? Think about it, contemplate it, enjoy it, right? Playfully pretend like I did as a child when I was getting that Game Boy, right? Just accept it. Experience it for just a second and boom, you did the right thing. And just like that, that's all that's asked of you, okay? So that's what I mean by being relentless in your pursuit of happiness. And to be disciplined is to decide where you're going to take your mind when your desire falls upon you, okay? And the times that your desire is not hitting you and you're not craving it, you don't have to do a thing, right? Why would you force yourself to do techniques if you're not in the mood, right? I only do techniques when I'm in the mood. I can't sit here and be like, oh, I'm not in the mood to manifest whatever, a car or some crap and be like, okay, but anyways, I'm just going to fulfill myself. That's crazy, right? But instead, when I kind of crave that vehicle or I crave that result, whatever it may be, that's the moment that I give it to myself. The moment I realize I don't have something that I want, I instantly experience it within myself. Boom. In less than a second, it's just a decision. I decide I already have it because I'm relating to those other worlds. I'm relating to, creation is finished. I know it all. It's in the back of my head. I don't need to, kind of go through the steps like I used to when I was new of, okay, creation is finished. Desires are promised to me, therefore it's already existing, so on and so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all these things, right? And I've done that so often, it's in the back of my head all the time now. So the second I have a desire, boom. And for those of you that are clients of mine, you can even attest in the comments if I've sat there with you, and even, especially my recent ones, I've even shown you, I've gotten into states with you on calls and shown you how easy it was. And you guys were shocked. I'm telling you, you guys were shocked at how simple it was. And you did not have to do any effort. And when you guys realized this, I could literally hear you smiling, if that makes sense, because I could see that you guys perked up and you realize, oh my God. And it's that simple. It's making a choice. And that's the beautiful part about the law, okay? So that's what I mean about being relentless, in your discipline and mental diet. Because without mental diet, then goodbye results, right? Because Why would you sit here and be like, oh no, I don't have my monthly income I would prefer for my business, or SP hasn't texted me, or I'm not my preferred height, or whatever, and then dwell on it and keep returning to feeling bad about it and identifying with not having results, and then you're going to look at the 3D a week later and be like, why is it not here? I'm so upset at the 3D, not realizing you just created more of that. You keep reflecting it, and then you're getting mad at it, but you're not taking credit for it. Does that make logical sense? No, but when you start looking at the law and life logically, you realize a lot of us are being illogical. And for me personally, I believe logic goes hand in hand with the law. If you are truly logical when it comes to understanding the law and applying it, then it makes no sense to do what a lot of people are doing, right? So that's kind of what I want to touch on for the first point. So sorry for the rant, but I had to get it out there. So I intend that that's going to help you guys on this. Okay, the second one is when you are nervous, guys. When you are nervous and you are feeling doubtful or scared or anything is bothering you and you don't know what to do and the understanding of the law just isn't enough, you know, knowing who you are, what your entity / soul is, and so on and so on, all this stuff. If all of this understanding doesn't help you and kind of look at things differently, I want you to remember that when I was new, every time I was afraid, which wasn't that often, but it did happen, I would always run to source. I would run to a Neville Goddard lecture, right? Whether I would read it or hear it in his own voice, or I would open some book that taught source material, right? And every time I did that, whether it was 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of reading, you know, I recommend 15 minutes of reading minimum a day, just for the next 30 days. Just 15 minutes whenever you're afraid, or even if you're not afraid, just find 15 minutes to sit down and read a lecture, or you know, listen to Neville's lecture in his own voice, and just sit there with notes, or open up an app and type out your notes there of anything that resonates with you. But think about this, for 30 days, if you do this, right, 30, 31 days, doesn't matter, but when you do this, do you not realize that by the end of, you know, like 2 weeks in, you've had so many reminders of who you are, how the law works, how the universe works, and that starts to sink in. Like, you start getting this in the back of your head. It's ingrained, guys, I'm telling you, and it doesn't have to take long. And every time you are afraid in any form, open up a book, listen to a lecture, do something, but for 15 minutes, do something that benefits you, right? And if you don't want to do that, at the very least, just watch my content, watch this video if you need to, or go watch any of my videos if it helps. But I always tell people, you know, as great as I think I can be as a teacher, because I do believe I'm a great teacher. My whole life, I've been a teacher in many forms. So teaching has always been my natural path, whether I wanted it or not. And I can admit that I'm nowhere near Seth or Neville Goddard and these greats, right? You know, and things like that. So I tell people all the time, go straight to the horses, you know, let's go straight to the water, right? Like, you know, instead of like going to the horse, just go to the source that he gets life from, and that's the water, right? That's source. So 15 minutes of that is what I recommend. You're going to notice that your troubles start fading away, that you start realizing it's pointless and illogical to start focusing on the negative and to keep reacting to the bad. Because when you get daily reminders of who you are, it makes this all easier. It makes sense. You start realizing it's so stupid to sit here and to react again and again and again to the bad, okay? So I want you to remember that. The next point is be willing to go for 30 days, right? And what I mean by this is, it doesn't mean like don't expect results, you know, and like go into it with a negative mind, but don't be like disappointed if results don't come in the first like 2-3 days, right? Of course they can, obviously. I'm not saying they can, but in general, majority of people are not going to get results like ASAP like that. I've had clients where as soon as we hang up the call, within 3 hours, their SP has literally showed up at their place, and you know, like I remember one of my earliest clients, you know, she's in Ireland and she has a professional dance studio, and she sent me a success story. You know, I think it was like 2 hours after our call. And if you're watching this, feel free to comment in the video. But the guy showed up at her place. I think it was with flowers and or texted her, stuff like that. And they had a call and they talked and whatever else. And she wasn't there at the time when he showed up. But It's like boom. So some people I'm not saying you can't get results fast. I'm just saying don't be put off if it doesn't happen fast like that, okay? Just more so be will. Like for me personally, when I started my own 30-day challenge, when I discovered the law, because I told myself either this is bullcrap or it's not, right? And I'm going to test it to the best of my ability to figure out what it is. And if it's wrong, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs to the world that this is a scam and to run away from it. And guess what? I proved to myself it works, right? That this is real. And my perspective was, okay, I'm going to go a full 30 days. I'm not even expecting results until like day 30 around there, right? Because I understand it takes time for the 3D to change because it takes time for us to change, right? And because of that understanding, it was super easy for me to look at my 3D and realize I don't have to be afraid, right? I don't have to be afraid at all because if I know that this is all going to change. And by the way, this whole it's going to change part leads to the quote that I'm going to share with you soon. But if I know it's all going to change, then I can just enjoy what I'm experiencing because I understand it's temporary, right? So have an open mind and just trust, right? Like trust that it will come. You're not going to know when, you're not going to know how, you're not even going to recognize the bridge most likely, but I want you to trust that it will at least come. Live with that trust, right? The same way when my parents told me we're going to get you a Game Boy Color and I trusted them. I just knew it was coming. It's the same thing. God has your back, guys. Your higher self has your back. You guys are connected to something so damn powerful. And I'm smiling and laughing when I say this because it's like, if you guys knew what I knew in here, you guys would literally laugh at your 3D. You would laugh at your problems because you'd realize I've been such a fool. For those of you that are always returning to lack and being upset and bothered, and then you're shocked that the results haven't changed. But if you haven't changed, then why would your 3D change, right? So remember that, and I want you guys to just trust the results will come. I don't know when they're going to come. I don't know if it'll be week 1, week 2, week 3, or week 4. I don't care. I just know that they will. And because I know that they will, I can be at peace and enjoy the journey. I can smell the roses, right? I can stop by and look at the scenery. I can look at the world burning. Why? Because it's all temporary, right? And that kind of leads me to my last point, which is the quote, from scripture that I love, right? And keep in mind, there's many interpretations of this, and I'll get into how I interpret it and how I used it for the law, because so many people interpret different quotes differently, and this is what helped me. And at the end of the day, I always say it doesn't matter if how you interpret something is right or wrong historically. What matters is, did it help you on your journey? And if it helps you, then who is anyone to tell you that it's wrong? Because if you're sitting there with results and the person that's telling you, oh, you're wrong, is not meant to be taken like that, but it helped you get to where you want and they're not there yet, then who gives a crap what they're saying, right? So the quote is, it says, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming, right? And I'll just reread that again. It says, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. And to kind of go into more detail about this, you got to realize the way I view it is, I have this presence inside of me, right? And I have the law that I work with, the Lord, right? And my higher self, my soul, I'm an entity, but that's a whole different topic, that I only get into with clients really to help piece things together. And I would need at least 30 minutes to break that down. But it's like this thing I am that I'm connected to, it's more powerful than I'll ever be. It's more intelligent than I'll ever be. It knows things that I do not know. It has all the answers that I don't have. It can do anything I want it to. It can destroy nations. It can, it can heal. It can bring back the dead. It can do this. It can do that. It can blah, blah, blah. You name it, all these things you've read in the scripture. And, it's like nothing has authority unless you allow it through this thing that you're connected to, right? And that's how I view it. It's like, okay, if I know that I am the one who gives authority, that I work with God or source, whatever you want to call it, I call it God. If I know that I'm going to work with God and God is going to work with me and it's going to work through me because I am choosing what I do up here with my mind, and I know that I'm going to be disciplined with my results, with my inner world, then it makes no sense to look at my 3D, and even though it's showing its teeth at me and it's scary to me, it's bothering me, whatever it may be, I can still smile and I can laugh because I know the day that it's going to change is coming, right? The wicked, it's gone. I laugh at the wicked, right? I can smile at it because I know this day is coming. And if I know its day is coming, in other words, what I've been doing on the inside is going to reflect on the outside. That means that its day is coming, meaning that I'm going to experience what I prefer. So all this is temporary. And that's what I want you guys to remember. Remember that quote, guys. I'll say it again. But the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. And keep in mind that it's like God knows that the 3D can't change. You have to realize the 3D can't change without your consent, right? Without submitting to what you agree with, right? So if you submit to a negative thought, that's you agreeing with it, right? The same way you can submit to in other words, the reality that you prefer, if that makes sense, right? I can choose to accept something. I can choose to agree with whatever I want. And I know that I am a piece of God. I'm not saying I'm God the Almighty. I'm not going to insult, but I am a walking piece of God. I am a fragment of them, right? I have a piece of them inside of me. It's who I am. I'm a walking, living embodiment of God in flesh. And if I know this, then I can smile at the wicked. I can laugh at them. And meaning the 3D, right? The 3D can be wicked sometimes. And that's how I viewed it, right? That's how I view the 3D. I understand, hey, I'm mental dieting properly. And if I know that I'm mental dieting properly, then I know that the 3D has no choice but to change, because all the greats talk about this. And if all the greats in the books throughout history and mankind agree on this and talk on this, and I'm going to choose to live by this just to see where it goes, even if I just accept it blindly, then it has to come. And because I know it's going to come, guess what happens? I can now laugh at the wicked. I can smile. I can look at the crappy 3D and say, I don't care. I don't care what the 3D is showing me. I don't care that the SP hasn't texted me. I don't care that I don't have my preferred income. I don't care that my business is failing. Why? Because I've been returning to the successful business inside of myself whenever I crave it, and I haven't been identifying with the failing business instead. I know that the SP hasn't conformed yet in my 3D, but that's okay because I've been feeling loved on the inside, and I keep returning to that. And when I look at the lack of love on my 3D, I understand I can observe it, and it doesn't mean it's going to continue, because I know what I do on the inside is going to become what I experience on the outside. And therefore, I can laugh at the wicked, I can look at my 3D, and I can smile. Why? Because it's all temporary. And if I know it's all temporary, then guess what that means? I can enjoy my journey. It's like I'm walking through the flames, but they can't hurt me, right? The devil can't, in other words, it can't taunt me. It can't convince me that I'm wrong, because I'm putting my faith in God, my higher self, right? Its ways are beyond my ways, right? It knows things I don't know, and I trust it. It has my back, and that's what I did. The first week I discovered the law, and that's why my first 6 days, I got the biggest results I've ever gotten. Love and financial success, and boom, just like that, it was game over, because I put my faith in something greater than me. I knew I was connected to it, and I knew I had to work with it. And by working with it, it meant mental diet. It meant choose who I am returning to on the inside. And that became who I was. And when it became who I was, boom, game over. And that's the challenge for you guys. That's what I want you guys to do. And I want you guys to be relentless. If you guys want to live your dream lives this year, stop half-assing it. Start being disciplined. Decide enough is enough. 2023 is not going to be, another repeat year. 2024 is not going to be a repeat year of 2023. It's game over. Enough is enough. If you want your stuff, start practicing returning to it now. Be disciplined. Who is forcing you to do anything negative in your mind? Nobody. It's just the perspective at which you look at things. And when you look at those things with a different perspective, they don't seem so scary. So, that being said, that's the 2024 New Year, New You Challenge video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you all very much. Thank you for the likes in advance. Thank you for subscribing, all my new subscribers. I love you all very much. And that being said, I got some emails and voice messages to get to now, and I wish you guys all the best. And just keep in mind, guys, enjoy the journey, and trust me, just have an open mind. Trust your higher self more than you trust your 3D. It's game over. Be disciplined. Decide enough is enough. 30 days, you got nothing to lose. I'm not asking you for money in this video, right? So you're not investing anything. You're just investing time, right? What is it, 24 minutes so far? Okay, you invested 24 minutes for 30 days. Hey, if it all works out, you just learned a lot about the law and yourself. And then you can use that forever moving forward. And if not, hey, it's not like you wasted anything, right? Other than 24 minutes. So that being said, I love you all very much. Take care and have yourself a wonderful evening, wonderful night, whenever you're watching this. I wish you all the very best and good luck, guys.